Good morning. Welcome to the April 19th meeting of the Environmental Resource Committee. Let's call the meeting to order and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, gosh, I'm right.
First order of business is the draft agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
I've got a couple things, John. One, need to select a secretary for the next meeting, I think, the May meeting.
I think last month Steve Hines
volunteered
to
Okay,
be
good.
secretary for this.
Okay, well then never mind. And then I've got a very short report on the Keep Brunswick County Beautiful Committee meeting that I was at last week to add.
You want to include that with your recycling?
Sure.
subcommittee?
Sure.
Okay, any other amendments? I have a new item 5C that I'd like to add.
Let's see. Okay.
It'll be about organizational topics for the ERC. So we'll get into more of that when we get there, if that's all right with everyone. If that's the end of it, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as you amended it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have no public attendance, so no comments. The old business first item is the Earth Day Arbor Day. Chad, you want to start things off there?
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing this morning? We are less than 72 hours away from our annual Earth Day Arbor Day event. One of the things that we are doing, I sent 4 of you invites. We have a meeting with staff right after this. Candace, are you still unable to join?
No, I said as long as I could be here this morning that I
Okay.
would be able to do
All right,
it. I thought I
so
was going to miss them.
so instead of John, you sitting with us, it would be the 3 ERC people. That way we don't have a quorum in there. I
Okay.
was going to substitute you in if somebody was going to miss out. So here's where we're at. The banner's up. The media blast has been sent out. We should be good to go. Staff is meeting with the 3 ERC people this morning after this meeting as close to 11:30 as we possibly can. And I'm in go mode. So the closer we get to Saturday, the more stressed out I'm going to be and the more everything. I will say this. I did talk with Lisa this morning. And as I filtered through some more emails, we are sitting at a 98% rain chance as of right now. So Lisa and I will make a call by tomorrow at 5 o'clock or Friday at noon to whether we move forward with Saturday or not. All right. So the couple things that I threw at Lisa yesterday is that the tree will not go unplanted and the seedlings will not go handed out. So what we'll do if we do not have the event on Saturday, at some point we'll have to notify the participants, but sometime within the next couple weeks, we will do a seedling handout giveaway here at the town. We'll work with y'all to staff that, and we will do a tree planting ceremony to some degree in the park. So that way, that doesn't go to the wayside, that stuff doesn't die, and they don't cook in the sun, that type thing. So
Any way that could be done at like the Memorial Day? Because that's a big.
the problem with the Memorial Day is that if we pick everything up on Friday, we don't want to have those things not out of the ground for that long period of time. Yes.
Arbor Day is next Friday, so that may be a good time to do
Yes.
tree planting.
Absolutely.
Actually,
So-
invite school kids.
Yep. So there is already kind of a preliminary plan in my head that's kind of started moving. It won't be the grand Saturday thing as we have planned right now, but it will be something to where we could move forward with. That's worst case scenario, but best case scenario is we are still planning to move forward, everything like that. I did get an email from Lisa this morning. Somebody reached out to her directly. I handed that email to John. I will forward it to Mila, Rich, and Candace. There's somebody that reached out to Lisa specifically about attending on Saturday. I'm not sure what that was about. Didn't really give much detail.
It's
I've
taken care,
already
It's
passed
already
it.
taken care of.
taken care of.
Cool. Have I missed anything? I know I need to get out. I know I need to print brochures out, and I need to get one more thing. What was it, John?
If,
And give you bags.
if the event goes on, when will we mark the spots at the park?
Sometime Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, I'll meet. I'll have to schedule with y'all to get that. I have the chalk in my office to mark
Okay.
those spots off.
So you're going to get the bags for Saturday,
Yeah.
and I've got a whole big box of a small box of magnets.
Okay.
And somebody's going to get the brochures folded too, I guess.
Yeah, I'll print them off and have somebody pick them up
Okay,
here at the town.
Okay. I did notice coming down here this morning that that portable electronic message board that the town uses is down at the corner, I guess downtown Seaside, with the Earth Day, Arbor Day message on it.
Oh, good.
So
So we've got the recycling brochure to print. We've got the program brochure to print.
Right.
We've got the Homegrown National Park brochure to print. Those are the only brochures I can recall. I had sent you an email about maybe a banner for under the exhibit. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. How,
We probably ran out of time to do something like that.
as far as getting one made like the one in the park, or do you want me to just print it off on paper? If we're looking at a banner like we did in the park, yeah, we are a little behind the 8 ball on that one. But I'd be able to print.
Well,
one
if you
off
could
on
do
paper.
a 3x5 on paper, we could put that on poster board and hang that up under the tent. It'd be out of the weather.
Okay.
But if we could get a banner made like the other one that we could reuse, if we're going to start going to some of these marketplaces, and
Mm-hmm.
then having something like that would be very useful.
I can look at doing the banner 3x5, something to hang behind for the future. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get one made before Saturday.
Yeah, but we could do that on paper. Or
Okay.
actually, if you talk to what's her name,
Gabriella.
she can print that right on poster board for you. But if you print it off on the plotter, then we can
Okay.
put that on poster board.
John, I mean, have anybody decided who's going to be at the event when, or all of us going to be there all day, or half a day, or is there a plan on that?
Yeah, well, that would be my next question
Okay.
too. Have we got a?
I think the three of us will be there the whole time. The ladies are doing they're sharing their time with the TLCA. I'm sharing my time with the HNP and the plant swap and the speakers. Someone's going to cover their booth for those three other speakers. So we will be, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people. We are located right across, the three of us, right across from the town. And TLCA is right next to the town booth. So the three of us will be in the area.
Okay, so I was planning to be there in the morning, or the first half of it at least.
Okay.
I don't know that I
Right. That's
want to
right.
push myself beyond noontime.
So you're thinking 10 to 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will be there at 8:00 a.m. just to kind of go from there.
I do have a vendor who wants to set up with his volunteers at 8, the Lord's Miracle Acre, because he has a children's group coming out at the garden that day. So you're 8 till 5, 6.
Now we're going to be in the town exhibit, will there be anybody else from the town there?
So this year, I know the recycling committee does not have a separate table, right?
I think all of ERC is sharing one table under the town's
Right,
overall umbrella.
Right, which is so the recycling, Don, I guess,
Right,
if you're
right,
there.
right. We're going to have bags, and I guess we're having those bags and recycling
Brochures.
brochure and the recycling magnets, of which are still in the trunk of my car.
Yeah, I still got some too.
So let's get rid of these things.
So,
The
so
other thing,
you'll be there 10 till 2 then?
I can be there 9-ish,
Okay, 9:30 maybe?
9 to noonish or
Whereas,
so.
I'm sorry.
9 to noonish, 9 to noon.
Okay.
The other thing, while I've got the floor here, the Keep Brunswick County Beautiful people, I think, Rich, did they have a conversation with you about being there?
About press?
No,
They're not coming.
they're not
Brunswick?
coming. Okay,
That was the last thing I saw is they didn't have
Keep Brunswick
volunteers.
County
Okay.
Beautiful, those
Yeah.
guys?
yeah,
Yeah, he was just asking if
okay,
it was already set up, but Bill, right? Bill?
yeah, Bill,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all
No, I wish we could get them here.
Well, I'm on that committee, so I'll be there. I'll wear 2 hats, I guess.
Well,
Okay,
you
but they don't
won't
have a
you won't
separate
have a
table.
booth.
Okay. Wear your t-shirt. Well, wear your t-shirt.
I got a T-shirt. I'll wear that. Okay.
So you're there from 9 till noon, or
Yeah, 9 to noon. Let's say 9. I get there around 9 so I can get a parking spot.
okay?
That'll be there till noon. And what was decided about alcohol? We have alcohol there.
No.
No.
Okay. Well, the reason
Nine, Don, what's your 9 in the morning? No, no, I don't. So I did go to the other events, the
birthday thing. Yeah.
and the one last week,
Uh-huh.
the old bridge thing, and the great events. We enjoyed it, but so it's a 6-hour event. What, 2 hours are standing in line drinking beer, then you
Yeah,
walk over to. So there was no participation from the people there, in my opinion, from the
Oh,
drinkers
that's fine.
over to the vendors, or just not a transition.
That's fine. That's fine.
So and I'm just saying for Earth
Well,
Day,
the
I
other
don't think we need.
The other thing with that is that we are well beyond the point of being able to pull a permit for that as well.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, for this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't drink beer anyway, so
Yeah, but in the future, I don't see an issue. I don't see it may draw people for the beer, may draw people
Yeah.
for the music, but it won't draw people to the Earth Day vendors. I don't
That's
see that
fine.
carry over.
just Thank you.
All right,
So
9 to noon.
will there be other people from the town in the exhibit? Do we know or don't
Like
we?
at Sunset, somebody was there from Public Works, the police were there, the fire department had a big display. Is anything like that planned?
I know Lisa's planning to attend. I don't know. I mean, police will be handling our parking situations, and that's where we'll get into a big discussion with Public Works and Police on the specifics about that shortly after this meeting is adjourned. And I don't think there's a lot of planning on that part for town to be involved. I know I was going to be. I just don't know what capacity I was going to be in there, or kind of running around more so than last year because we have parking stuff that we've got to handle. So that's kind of where I'm at. You'll have me there. You'll have Lisa there to some
Okay.
degree as well. So
I was thinking we could use that same "Where do you live" sign that we had at the celebration event. We've still got all the pins in it, but I don't think that really matters.
Put
So,
more.
it's
I
good.
plan on being there.
You will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So we're asking vendors to be set up by 9:30 to
So,
at least arrive and try to set
I'm
by
a
9:30.
floater. I can do whatever you want me to do.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
That's really nice. Thank you.
Got a floater here.
Are there any other questions?
Nine.
And so, and just let me say one more thing. I think at our table, the main table, we're limited to not more than 3 of us can be there at once. Is that correct? Because we will have a quorum.
I mean, we had everybody there last year.
Well, but last year we were all at different tables. We were
oh.
split up in 3 different
It was
areas.
very true.
And we didn't have more than 2 at a table because we didn't want to have a quorum.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I can verify that. I wouldn't really worry about it. as long as we're not discussing meeting
I
things
know,
like
I know.
that. I would
Well, and I
just say
think we'll
we
be
would move
floating, we
forward.
can
Yeah.
arrange to be floating
I
around.
mean,
if
at this
there's an
point, I
issue.
would say if you can be here, I would say all hands on deck as much
Yeah.
as we can to the longest extended period of time we can, because we're going to need it. We don't know what situations may come up. Like I said, I know I sat down and got to talk to people for about 4 hours last year. I don't know what degree I'm going to be able to do that this year. So, yes, Mila.
Will the mayor open the event this year?
That's what I've got to work on as well. I've got to call him today.
So if you put chalk down on the sidewalk, which we did last year to mark the numbers, if it
Yep.
rains, it might get washed away.
Yeah.
means we won't have the event. Right.
Yeah.
Just won't matter.
Well, I mean, it looks like I'm reading a forecast that said rain in the morning and then clear off and then thunderstorms in the afternoon, whatever that means.
So as a former event organizer, I learned never to schedule your events because of weather forecast.
It's always going to rain.
It just,
Yeah.
there's no reason.
In my
the last-
experience, if you have an event or you have a baseball tournament, you better count on rain
Right.
at some point.
Yeah.
So
Back in the day when I played golf,
that too.
if the forecast was for rain, I'd say yes because it's always wrong.
Nope. No offense to the weather forecast.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? So anything that
Maybe
comes
there.
out of your meeting this afternoon will then be shared with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, like I
9 to
said,
10.
Candace, Rich, and Mila will be in there,
Okay.
along with Lisa, Matt, Ken, and I.
Okay. Next item is the reflections on the Sunset Beach 60th anniversary celebration. I'll start out by saying I had a lot of fun, even though I got pneumonia the next day. But that was quite an event, and I felt like we really could have had more space to operate out of, but we passed out a lot of materials. We passed out a lot of reusable grocery bags and recycling brochures, and we had a lot of really good discussion with people about where they lived and what the risk was of flooding from from storm surge. And I think the most telling thing to me was when people would come back with their neighbors and say, "Hi, this is my neighbor. I wanted him to hear what we talked about." So that really was very educational for a lot of people, and I hope we continue to do that throughout the summer in any place we go. Are there any other thoughts people had about the event?
I have a few, yeah.
Steve,
I think it was a great face-to-face for the town, for town administration to meet with the locals from Sunset Beach. It was nice to put, and I think there probably should be a little more of that outreach. I know there's town people are swamped with their work, but I thought it was a great outreach. People I talked with the pins and the map, they're all happy they lived up on Georgetown Road. But that doesn't mean that's going to change, right? In the next few years, several from Calabash to Vaughn Park, they were surprised at the water level out there. But yeah, I thought it was great. The music at the gazebo, beautiful gazebo. The people who were walk from the beer to get, I'm a beer drinker. I'm not opposed to selling beer. Walk from there to the concert would stand covering the path. They didn't want to stand on the grass. I guess chairs are set. So that really narrowed the pathway in front of the town booth also, I thought, for the 70th anniversary, I guess. But yeah, it was great seeing people, great talking to people out there. Good event.
I would add in conjunction with what you said earlier, we would have benefited from more space because people were clustered. They really wanted to see your maps. It would have been nice if we could have had them all up. They were only seeing the lowest risk.
Right.
And then I think there were several, as you talked to them, that were really interested in where they're going to go when that bridge closes. And so maybe for a future event, we can do a similar map and say, when the bridge closes, here are your egress routes.
Okay, here's the detour route.
Yeah,
Right.
here's how you can get out. So they're thinking about it.
That's a good suggestion.
Speaking of which, I guess
But John, I just thought that part, that it was a highlight, that those maps and people being aware for our participation. I think that was the best.
speaking of alternate routes, I guess y'all know they're putting up a stoplight on Clubhouse Drive in Old Georgetown Road soon, I guess.
They're hoping to do it before the bridge closes.
Yeah.
I know that's their goal.
And a lot of people are concerned about the traffic detouring through Sea Trail. Just to try to test it, I've taken both routes myself a couple times. And I must say that it's a lot easier to go around Sea Trail than to go through it.
Sometimes.
For me, it was every time
Yeah.
because the roads are windy and
Well,
you've got
When is the bridge closing? Because
the bridge is going to close September 1st.
I thought they've delayed that again. No, it's still on? Okay, good.
Well, they're going to start working on they've actually started working on the utilities around the bridge.
okay,
And they will award the contract to the builder in May,
okay,
and work will begin immediately. The bridge will be open. I don't know if it'll be open one way or both ways, but it'll be open until sometime in early September. I've seen September 1st, I've seen September 9th, but after that, it'll be closed to traffic until February of 25.
jeez.
And
So once someone brought this to my attention, it might be ridiculous, but they were saying this Angel Trace or Angel, what's the
Angel Trace Road, yeah.
road? There's a road that's closed that goes through. I mean, they were asking me. I don't know, they weren't asking me. They said, "Why can't they use that road?" I guess there's glass in it, sinkholes and stuff.
Well, the biggest problem was it washed out. There's a bridge over a creek that washed.
I'll have to build another bridge.
I don't know if that's repaired or not, but it's privately owned. It's not public road.
Gotcha.
So, kind of give you an update on Angels Trace Road. The town's working extensively to eventually back up, bring it back on the line. However, there's a washout that was done during Florence. Part of the deal with the sanctuary is that during the last phase they have to fix the washout because their final phase goes across the road and into over it. So they're going to be responsible. They own it. They have to be responsible for fixing it due to their phase of their homes being built across that road and on the other side of it. So eventually it will be fixed.
But it
So
won't be there as relief while we're looking for alternate routes for the bridge.
no, there will be detours around. The detour will be down 179B up 904 and then 179 Georgetown Road to Calabash, stuff like that. The official detour will not go through Sea Trail. So, I mean, I understand it is for 18 months, it's going to be an inconvenience, but at the same time, it needs to be done, and the town will be better for it in the long run. I promise you. So,
Oh, I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
just a big change.
904 on a Friday during tourist season is just, it's already unbearable. And now we don't have any alternative.
Nope.
Any thoughts to police being out there?
Hmm?
Any thoughts to police being out there to direct some of that traffic at the busiest time? Just adding that in. That's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Are there any other comments about the celebration event? All right, we'll move on to the first quarter report to council. I think everybody has received a copy of this summary report that I wrote on our first quarter report. And this will be a agenda item for the May council meeting. And I think this will have a large bearing on how we organize and present our report for the second quarter. So I would remind us that we can't have any more than 3 committee members at the council meeting. But I'll be there, and possibly Steve and Candace will be there to comment if required and on the council questions or comments. So the rest, if you could watch it on virtually, I think you'd find that very interesting to hear it firsthand. Next item is the BEMC community grant application status. Chad?
Yes, sir. So we submitted a grant application to BMC back before the end of the year 2022 for, Rich, was it 2,500?
Yes.
So I got an update. We submitted that application in February. And so I got a response back from them. I did forward it to everybody, but it said, "Dear Mr. Stardomski, thank you for submitting your application to the 2023 BMC Corporation Community Grants Program and our efforts to address a broad spectrum of projects and communities. We have had to make some difficult decisions. We're sorry we are not able to award a grant for your organization at this time. The cooperative received 69 grant applications reflecting the needs of our community far exceed the reach of our program. In the selection process, especially challenging this year. However, we urge you to apply in 2024. So that's kind of where we're at. Moreover, with this, there is a line item that is going to be in my agenda starting in July 1, for the ERC for $5,000 for us to be able to use.
Cool.
So we'll have a budget line item through my planning budget this year. So Tara and Lisa have met with the council twice. The budget seems to be on its way to being balanced, and we'll be looking at being scheduled a public hearing and public hearings over the next few months to get that officially adopted. So to move in the fiscal year, July to June 2023, 2024, we'll be able to use that moving forward. So that's where we're at.
Good. Moving on to new business, subcommittee discussions. First committee will be the climate report. Steve, you want to tell everyone about the charter fishing boat trip?
Sure. This all stemmed from, our interest in what's happening in Tubbs Inlet and some recommendations that John got from Spencer Rogers that something needed to be done there. But at any rate, I reached out to Tim DeSano, who's a local charter captain, has lived here, fished here for a couple decades, and wanted to know what his thoughts were on the conditions in Tubbs Inlet. And he said he would do more than that. He was willing to take whoever wanted to go out to take a look at Tubbs Inlet and look at the conditions. And his thought was he had a plan together, but unfortunately, he's a busy guy and didn't quite get his plan together. But at any rate, I got him on my schedule for yesterday, and we were originally planning to go out there at noon. We didn't. We ended up going out early because I was afraid we would get stuck. The tides were extremely low yesterday. But I wrote down some of the recollections, and some of this may be from my conversations with Tim. It could be from yesterday, but he said he used to be able to actually recreate inside of Tubbs Inlet. It used to be deep enough that you could boat and boogie board, whatever. You just it was a wide open area. there was much deeper water in there. You could run larger sport fishing boats right out of the inlet into the ocean through tubs. And that wasn't all that long ago. I mean, he's 20 years, so 20 years isn't really a very long time. And the beach at Palm Cove used to be flatter than it is now. Now there's a stark drop off there on deep water. But there's also no way to really run a boat in there at all. The navigation is gone. You either hug the shoreline right at Palm Cove to get through there, or you run up through the creeks on the north of that. The whole inside of the inlet is filled in with sand. So the other thing that Tim notices that the dredging that was done in 2021 and 2022 didn't go far enough, in his opinion, to the north in Jinks Creek to facilitate the flow of water. So now what's happening, since there was a bar kind of left across that where the dredging ended, that's stopping sand. Sand is actually filling in. So the dredging that was done just that recently seems to be filling in. So that area is not navigable like it was, and he now has to hug the shoreline. I mean, we talked, we talked about going around those docks and having to come way over to one side to get around. Which is kind of what it was before the dredging. So it's not it doesn't have the result we thought it would. The tidal flow has over the years. I think he mentioned 2014. Remember, is that the date he mentioned that things changed? But anyways,
Well, that's when it's changed on the maps that we've seen.
well, but anyways, the flow used to be when you had an ebb tide. The flow would go down Jinks Creek and out Tubbs Inlet. And on a flood tide, it would be the opposite. It would come in through Tubbs Inlet and go up into the Intercoastal Waterway. But instead, now there's so much sand in the inlet that it's blocked, so that there is flow, and the water does move in there. But at some point in the creek, and he showed us there's a turn in the creek where the current splits. So on the ebb tide, it's like a high point. So the ebb tide, the flowing one way in Jinks Creek as towards Tubbs Inlet, and the other way up towards the Intercoastal Waterway. So we're no longer getting any kind of the water through Tubbs Inlet from the ocean into our stretch of the Intercoastal Waterway. It's just kind of sloshing back and forth. And there's also there was the same situation in the Intercoastal Waterway. Now I don't know if he said there would have had to have been something like that, like a high point, if you will, where the tides coming from Shallotte Inlet and Little River Inlet and Tubbs would have had to all converge on a spot. So there would have been a dead spot, but there is a kind of a dead spot between the 103 marker and 105 channel markers in the intercoastal. It's not far from the mouth of Jinks Creek. He really feels that that the inlet's going to close the way things are going, and I don't think he's wrong. Jinks Creek is also shoaling up, and we noticed that. I talked about the inflection points. So his thoughts were too that if the inlet closes, then Jinks Creek just becomes another tidal creek, and the flora and fauna in there will be affected. So that you'll have, without any flow from the inlet. Right now, this is probably the number one spot for people to go flounder fishing in our area. Well, that's because the flounder are using the ocean coming in through Tubbs and settling into Jinks. If that closes off, that'll end. I mean, there will still be some flounder in there, but it won't be like it is now. You'll have to go down towards Shallotte. He also said the water in the ICW used to be a lot cleaner. So right now it's very dark. It's like that all the time. I mean, it does clean up a little bit in the winter time when just the algae blooms drop out, and you get some periods where there aren't any storms. It'll be cleaner, but it used to be that the ocean water would make it up in there from Tubbs Inlet, and it doesn't make it up there anymore. I think that's what I got from him. Does that sound like about like?
That sounds like the trip I was on.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I would add that we had John Corbett and Mike Hargraves join us from the town council,
Right.
Which showed the level of interest the council has in what's going on at Tubbs Inlet. And in our first quarter report, we made the recommendation that we have a Tubbs Inlet program that is yet to be defined what it is. We talked somewhat about that yesterday with the council members, and right now we're still gathering information to try to get a sense of what's happened and where things seem to be going, and then we'll put that together into a report with recommendations, and then we'll see where that takes us. But in the last 8 or 9 years, there have been significant changes that have taken place in Tubbs Inlet. The most noticeable is the very large spit of land that has been created northward from Sunset Beach side of the inlet. And that is, it's a very complicated, the more I learn about it, the more complicated it becomes to understand. And it's not just affected by what's happening at Sunset Beach, it's affected by what's going on behind Ocean Isle Beach, it's affected by what's happening at the Little River Inlet, the Shallotte Inlet, the Lockwood Folly Inlet. All of these things work together. The hydraulics in that intercoastal waterway and all those creeks that tie into it, and the inlets that connect it to the ocean, the hydraulics there are very complicated. And it's not just affected by hurricanes. We've looked at aerial photographs of the inlet before and after hurricanes, and we see very little change actually in the inlet. It's mostly changes that occur by tidal, the tidal movements of water. So,
have they ever dredged Tubbs Inlet in the last? I mean, I wonder what the Army Corps of Engineers long-term
yes,
plan.
Tubbs Inlet, no. Tubbs Inlet was dredged back in the early 70s when Gore relocated the inlet channel, and we can show you the maps. It hasn't. There's nothing that's been done. It doesn't really meet the criteria for the Army Corps of Engineers to dredge the Tubbs Inlet because it's not a major navigational water. You've got the Indian River Inlet, and you've got Shallotte and Lockwood Folly, which are higher priority navigational waters. It's more of a recreational thing.
Okay.
So, but we got a lot of work to do, and we'll continue to talk about that in our future meetings. And but I would just warn everybody, it's a very complicated environment that is influenced by a lot of events outside of the immediate area of the inlet. So now, in relationship to that, one of the contacts that I've made through the Coastal Resources Advisory Council is a retired member of the North Carolina Sea Grant, man named Spencer Rogers. He's quite legendary in the area in his knowledge of coastal science, let's say. But Spencer has mentored me in a lot of these areas, and he's become a friend. And I tried to get him to go on a boat ride with us yesterday, but he suggested that it was time for us to contact an organization called the North Carolina Sea Grant. Sea Grant is a large nationwide organization, and North Carolina has an extension branch of that focused on North Carolina communities. But they provide a lot of it's like cooperative extension services to communities. They are affiliated with the North Carolina State University, and they're headquartered in Raleigh. And they meet with communities, talk about community issues, and provide guidance and counsel, and it's all done for no cost to the community. So we have contacted North Carolina Sea Grant, and we're going to follow up on where we're at with the Tubbs Inlet and see what kind of help we can get from them to really do the right things, report the correct information to the council, and make the right choices there. This also is associated with the Palm Cove request to the town for support to do dredging through Tubbs Inlet so that they can restore the beach area and stop the erosion on their shoreline that's undercutting their roads and threatening the whole spit of land that they're on. So all these things are working together, and they're coming together all at the same time. So
Which area is getting undermined?
Palm Cove,
Is that
where all the sandbags are.
Okay. Where is that?
It's on the backside of the island. It's not on the beach.
Is that the new area they just built all those houses?
They built those 5 multi-million-dollar homes, and the shoreline there has, from about somewhere around 16, 17, it started eroding, and it's become a big problem for them.
Did construction affect it? Did the construction affect the condition of the beach and eroded it?
So it's not on the end of the island, right? It's on.
Well, they're at the end of the island. They're the last community
They're the
before you
last.
get to Ocean.
Where it's gated. It's like,
Yeah, that's
okay.
the gated community.
That's Palm. Okay,
Yeah.
I saw it there. That's.
I hesitate to answer your question, Mila, because
We don't know.
I don't know for certain. But they are being affected by what's going on out there. And they proposed to the town at the last council meeting that they wanted to dredge a navigation channel through the sanded area, the inlet, and they wanted the town to help them do that by applying for a grant that's only available to the town. Right now, my understanding that their lawyers and our lawyers are working out a memorandum of agreement to try to figure out if that's possible. And that'll be part of the May council meeting as well. So another reason to listen to the council meeting. Okay.
One recollection of Tim's was that once there was a large dock built with a gazebo that's associated with the Palm Cove community, and that he's seen a lot of shoaling right around that dock and behind it. So, you know, when you ask if the construction is affecting anything, Tim's thought was that construction of that dock affected the way the sand was moving there. So, well, you know, that's just his observation.
That's not a surprise, I wouldn't
Mhm.
think, for anything.
Okay, we'll move on to the Green Subcommittee. We talked about
The big event.
the big event. Do you have other
Press.
things to add to it?
Yeah, its coverage was the first thing on the item here.
Okay.
We have 14 vendors, kind of the turtle watch. Everyone has a spot. I'm not sure if we have audio for the presentation. Okay, no. Okay. So I think the presentation will be small enough that we can do those on the gazebo itself with some chairs at the gazebo. Will we have chairs? They're 10-minute conversation, 10 to 15-minute conversations. Chairs may not be, they may not be necessary. We need to be
encourage people to bring your own chair.
right. Okay. And for our plant swap and our Homegrown National Park, contacted our 2 chief volunteers for the Homegrown National Park. She's changing. We have a sign-up sheet. She's changing that, but we're still going to push through Homegrown National Park with the difference being the plants will be swapped and between members instead of purchased, right? So there will be so it's more of another information for native plants, information giving, handing out.
If someone is interested in plants but they have nothing to swap,
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
so that they'll be given away.
yeah. That's why I've got my 30 or 40 plants. Susan has her 50.
Okay.
My 89-year-old buddy who he brought 80 or 100 plants himself last year. So yeah, and that's what you expect.
Rich,
But you can grow the event also.
Can I ask a
Grow
quick question? 2022, do you know how many vendors we had?
19, maybe 19 or 20. I can go back and look.
Okay.
So yeah, it's reduced. We were discussing maybe it's because it's a Saturday event. Maybe it's because there are other Earth Day events on Saturday instead of Fridays. And that's something we've kind of discussed, the 3 of us, that if you would do a consistent last Friday of April, so which is Arbor Day, to set date, we can budget for that, you can plan for that. People know when to show up. So yeah, that may be the reason. And the last thing for the H&P and plant swap is that we need bags and boxes, paper bags and boxes for people to carry out.
I've got a whole bunch of bags left over from last year.
Good. Okay, throw them in your truck.
We've got a collection of these plastic grocery bags. Would that be useful to bring those or not?
No.
No.
I mean, you hate to use them, but if you will have to, yeah, we would use them.
I mean,
The plants shouldn't be too wet, but most of I'm reusing styrofoam cups that I get
oh, okay, I
from
got you.
PM, so I
Yeah.
have to put them in there. So
Okay.
yeah, there is a reusing. So it is a
Okay.
reduce, reuse, recycle.
Okay.
So yeah, if you guys can bring those to the event, I'll be there at 8. Apparently, Chad and I'll stroll the park for a bit. I'll be there at 8 to wait for some other people showing up. But I think everything's in control. We have our press release, our Facebook release, the banner, the posters in the park. I would like to have 2 or 3 posters for a couple locations if I could get those to. I'm not sure, are we permitted, am I allowed to take those to the gym, to the tennis court, those kind of thing? Okay. And I'm not sure if we've been able to put any in any of the other businesses, local businesses or not. But yeah, I think I'm hoping for a much better, well, we had a decent turnout last year, but hopefully a much better turnout this year. That's all I have.
Recycling Subcommittee. Don?
Oh, 2 things. well, actually maybe three. The Keep Brunswick County Beautiful Committee, of which I am on, is having a shred event May the 4th in Bolivia. So if you feel compelled or led to do that, it's be from 9 to about noonish, near the Extension Services. What do they call that thing there, Candace?
The
Just that
cooperative.
complex, you mean?
The what?
Are they near the, are they going to be at
The county,
recycling?
the county's county
facilities
government
there.
center,
Yeah.
where you have your
Yeah, the county government center.
Where the rain garden is.
where the garden is. Yeah. Anyway,
The Extension Service.
Extension Service. Thank you.
Okay.
And we talked about their involvement in the Earth Day, Arbor Day thing. The other thing I want to mention, I have not forgotten about trying to pull together some census information and the recycling info that we talked about probably a couple months ago. I hope at the next meeting to have that material so we can talk about that. And that's all I have that had been talked about before.
Okay. Next item is the, Chad wants to talk about the causeway from the,
So I have a brief statement on that. It's not officially been released to the public yet, and this is the same kind of comment we gave to the council. As I'm just going to read it verbatim. As you recall, Lisa and the town has requested a feasibility study on the causeway. A couple weeks ago, Lisa and I attended a Zoom meeting with 13 NCDOT engineers to discuss our concerns and brainstorm potential solutions. Several had visited the area and observed erosion occurring. Another group had reviewed data collected during recent storms and king tides. And all the group agreed that the causeway is a major problem that needs to be mitigated as soon as possible. It was determined that the causeway needs to be raised about 9.6 feet to the 9.6 feet elevation per the 50-year flood prediction and minimum of 100 feet per the 100-year. So I think instead of doing the 100-year, they're looking at the 50. The group briefly discussed 3 potential remedies and will provide the town more information as soon as possible. And then we made a statement. We're not making this public at any time, but I wanted to let you know that the things I can let you know is that STIP is coming up by the end of the year through the grandstand, the GSATs, the Grand Strand Transportation Study Program. So every few years, NCDOT does STIP submittals, which goes out for transportation, stuff like projects like this, such as super streets, roundabouts, stuff like that. So this will be probably one of the projects, if not that's put into that or done on its own. That's to be determined. But as we look forward to doing this, if it's in STIP, that it will go forward with state funding, regional funding, and local funding, starting at the top, working our way toward the bottom. Normally, we fall in that category of regional and local funding for that, because when you compete statewide, you're competing with Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte, and it is extremely difficult to get grant funding through that. It is going to be expensive. They were looking at potential ways to figure out how the expensive and not the least expensive, least expensive way to go, but the most productive way to go without exercising the least amount of money moving forward. So please know that's in the works. Like I said, they did a visit. They were really fun to listen to for an hour and a half. Lisa and I did hardly any talking. When you have 13 engineers on Zoom, you let them talk. Because Lisa and I will be the first to say I was the least guy on the totem pole when it came to needs to talk about what needs to be done to raise a bridge or a roadway. So
so it's almost 10 feet.
Where's it? 10 feet from what it is now?
No,
Oh,
I
up
don't
to
know
it,
where we're at now. I think we're around 3.
Oh, okay, I got it.
But
To-
I mean, you're looking at an elevation.
About 7.
And then the other thing that comes with that, we don't know any information when it comes to, um, you know, what it will look like. Obviously, we can't close it.
Right.
So
Hmm.
timing of everything will still need to be worked out. It's not a done deal yet. I mean, obviously, funding is going to be the major issue there, but everybody in that room realized it's a problem. So that's what we'll do moving forward. I don't know how many questions I can answer on that, but I wanted to give you an update
Right.
to know that the one thing that we all look at as something that needs to be done is being seriously looked at. So,
Interesting.
We can't go back and borrow the old bridge from the Old Bridge Historical
no.
Society.
I don't guess they even thought about a cost figure, did they?
No, we
No.
never even got to that.
Me.
I'm sure that the engineers in that room with DOT are looking at that. But
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
oh, it's sure.
I don't know how they decide a cost before they have a plan.
Well, I mean, that's the
Figure how
thing.
they
That's the
wanna do it.
thing. As they look at plans,
Yeah.
there's a cost that will come with each one of them.
Right.
Right.
And it's just ultimately, what do we do moving forward?
Yeah, and this is probably not the only causeway up and down the coast that needs raised. I'm guessing, right? And this will be north to south.
possibly. No, yeah.
I mean,
I'm
the
sure
one of the things that y'all know is that causeway is the original part of the bridge. I mean, the bridge was the original bridge. The old bridge was that was still left over. I learned that in the meeting. I think that's public knowledge.
Yeah.
When they built the bridge, they just connected it to the existing causeway that was there. You know, we look at things like stormwater runoff and rising sea levels as we look at that stuff too. Nobody took that in consideration, and now we are moving forward. So what do? Nobody anticipated looking something like when you go to Manio or the Outer Banks and you cross over the Pamlico, impacts there. So it's something that is, and we're the unique one on the, if you look at, you take a ferry to get to Bald Head, but if you look at the bridge both bridges over to Oak Island, they don't have the long causeway. Caswell Beach is included into that. Holden Beach the same way. The landing is on the main, or either on the island land or the mainland. Same thing with Ocean Isle. It's the same way. We have the longest causeway in the county when it comes to crossing over a bridge to a barrier island that people live on. So, like I said before, you don't want the situation where you're having to do it on an emergency basis because it's severed. But DOT in town is requested the feasibility study, and serious conversations are being had. So
That causeway is also the path for utilities connecting
Probably.
islands.
yep. So all that is being all those people were in the room. So
Big project, but good.
Huge.
Glad they're working on it. Next item was my addition to the agenda, and I will turn the floor over to Rich.
Oh, okay. Now,
It's your turn.
oh, okay. This is my last. No, not my last. I'm leaving the ERC committee after next month. A lot of things have come up this past year. And it was a tough decision. I really enjoyed my 2 years here, almost 2 years. But I am, and I submitted my resignation to Lisa. And as a member of, as a citizen of Sunset Beach, I'm still going to volunteer for the Homegrown National Parks and the Tree City USA and any other projects or programs that we can find to work on. But yeah, that's it. I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed working with John, chatting with John every day or every other day. Learned a lot from you guys, from Chad and John. But yeah, had a great time and made some friends to go fishing with.
Rich, we thank you for your service. It would be 3 years in September
For me,
for you.
two.
No,
Oh, 3?
3 years in
Time
September.
flies.
We are 3-year terms, aren't we?
2 years.
2 years.
Oh, so you're right. 2 years in
And
September.
pneumonia still.
It just seems like forever.
It does things.
No, it
I'm
really.
I'm up for renewal, but I opted to, if they renew me, to keep me. But it's up to them.
But we thank you for your service, and happy
You're
to
gonna
have
stay
become
here?
friends and look forward to continuing.
So you're going to stay in the area or not leaving?
No, we're not leaving. Not by my choice.
Mr. Chair, if I could
What'd you
piggyback
say,
off of
Matt?
that and make one more thing under
Sure.
this target. Rich, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. It's been great and pleasure getting to know you and working with you. Switching gears on that, I will, Mr. Hines, are you doing the minutes for this meeting? Okay. If I could, I know we're going to be doing minutes on a committee rotation basis. If I can just make the request that whoever's doing the minutes, just try to get them to me by the end of the month after our meeting. That way, when I go to do the agendas, I'll be able to search back. And that's my fault. I've not been great on communication when it comes to that. So I'm gonna put the blame on me type person. That's just kind of how I'm wired, and we'll go from there.
Chad, in your defense, you've got a lot of balls in the air, and I can appreciate that. You're trying to keep half of them going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got a lot of, little do we know all the stuff he's got going. And I'll echo what John said for you. I'm going to miss you. You've been a real asset to the committee. I've learned a lot. Appreciate your military service.
Mhm.
Now, having him leaving, does that mean we're going to have 3 up or just 2?
So kind of go forward with, I've already talked to Katie. Katie cannot advertise, I think, until
June.
this month or next
Okay.
month. So she's looking to advertise that pretty soon. I think
Okay.
we have 1 open seat, being Rich's, and then 2 people are up for
Yeah.
reconsideration.
Okay.
But Steve Levine, you're one of them. Who's my other one?
Yeah.
Candace. So both of you will, if you decide to re-up, you'll go back through the interview process, and then we'll have 1 open seat we'll need to fill. So anybody out there that's listening, if you have any interest in joining us, or if the 7 of you have any interest, of anybody interest, please have them go ahead and reach out to Katie to start the application process. That way, this can get done pretty quickly.
We may have some opportunities at Earthly Arbor Day, assuming it
No,
goes,
and
if we have
absolutely
people
no.
that are
Yeah, I mean,
interested in the committee.
please, that's something
Tell
that
them
can be
we'll have
talked
something
about.
coming up.
I can give you some of my cards. I can give you some of Katie's cards. We can get the information out there. If you're interested, we'll find out. I've got other places potentially for people to serve other than this board. I've got another board that I potentially will have an opening coming up for too. So.
Well, you never know till you ask. There might be somebody out there just chomping at the bit to get on this committee. You never know till you ask them.
That's correct.
Can I just bring up a little housekeeping issue that this discussion has brought up? When Don asked earlier about minutes, you mentioned that Steve was doing them next time, that he's doing them this
He's
time.
doing it for this week.
So who's doing them next time? Because that's what Don was asking.
I have hold on. I actually have it right here. So
Isn't that what your question was? right?
well,
Who's
yeah,
doing
they're-
it?
March was Don.
Yeah.
April
can
was
do it.
I
Steve
was supposed to
Hines.
do this time.
I
I'm
don't think
doing
we
it
had
this time,
anybody for
but-
May. I think
Yeah,
that
we
is
need,
correct.
we need a volunteer for May.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I will be working for the State Department in the summer, so I will not be here May, June, and then I don't know. So, and I volunteered for today, so I was taking minutes as well. Okay.
Oh.
Right.
Okay, well,
Did
we got our wires crossed.
Be
Yeah, it's
used
okay.
to do it maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I can do May
I think she.
because that'll put us sort of back on rotation.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't mind rotating in. I just was so consumed like the last 3 months. dealing with
I get that,
things.
Steve. We
And
get
so
that.
I'm okay. I didn't say I'd never wanted to do
No.
it. I just
You know what? I think it's a nice idea to kind of rotate that note.
yeah.
Because it keeps, what I found as secretary was you can't participate fully in the meeting
Right.
because you're focused on those
Right.
notes.
So, Mr. Hines, you're doing them for today, and then
I'll do the next ones.
all right, we'll do.
Candace will do next month. And Mila, you'll be gone May, June, and July?
I don't know about July and August yet, but I will be gone May, June, and probably November.
You going back to Poland, or can you stay?
No, I'll be working. There's a huge backlog of passports, and so they need us to work in passport agencies. So I'll be in San Diego, California for
Oh.
that month.
Well, that's rough.
You
Yeah,
poor
that
thing.
was-
And
Isn't
then we'll
Lorraine
see
one
what
of those
happens
people
after
stuck in
that.
the passport
Yeah.
backlog?
Oh, it's terrible.
Should give her. We'll give her your number.
All that time in San Diego, what a sacrifice for the government. Thank you. Have you ever been to San Diego?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city. A little
Lovely.
expensive to live in, though.
So, all right. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I have that as the end of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
And go White Sox.
And Rich,